analogy about terrorists, one that, keeping them honest, the White House and the President himself are backpedaling on. Now, back in January, President Obama gave an interview to David Remnick of The New Yorker, and David's going to join me in just a moment. During the interview, David asked about the President's assertion during the 2012 campaign that al-Qaeda had been all but decimated. Remnick pointed out that the flag of al-Qaeda was flying in Fallujah, Iraq, and in several rebel factions in Syria, to which the President responded, quote, "The analogy we use around here sometimes, and I think is accurate, is if a JV team puts on a Lakers uniform, that doesn't make them Kobe Bryant." Now remember, this was back in January after ISIS had captured Fallujah. But on Meet the Press just this past weekend, the President said the JV comment was not a reference to ISIS.
Long way from when you described them as a JV team.
Well,
was that bad intelligence or your misjudgment?
Keep in mind, I wasn't specifically referring to ISIL. I've said that regionally, there were a whole series of organizations that were focused primarily locally.
White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said essentially the same thing several weeks ago. Listen.
So the President was not singling out ISIL. He was talking about the very different threat that is posed by a range of extremists around the globe.
So that's the White House line now. Clearly, the President wasn't singling out ISIS, but keeping him honest, though, ISIS certainly was among the groups that David Remnick was asking about. One of the groups the President seemed to be describing with the JV analogy, and David Remnick joins me now. I mean, you not only asked him about that, but then when you followed up by saying, well, the JV team has just taken over Fallujah.
Yeah, I'm afraid this is spin. It's disingenuous. And it was
You have no doubt he was talking about ISIS.
You know, it seemed to me, you know, in looking back on it, that yes, he was referring to the group that had taken over Fallujah. I specifically said Fallujah, and that's who it was, and he's fully informed. So even though the use of the term al-Qaeda was the kind of umbrella term in that interview and in that exchange, and even in the American dialogue at that point for the most part, no, I think this denial is a bit, you know, it's putting a spin on the ball. You know, in many ways, I think the President deserves credit on foreign policies in ways we can discuss. But I thought this piece of language and his communication in general on foreign policy in recent months has been rather, and surprisingly, lax and out of key. And quite frankly, I think this speech tomorrow night is addressed at correcting that. I think he knows that with all the talk of red lines that eventually got crossed and the world is messy and the JV team, that his role as communicator when it comes to foreign policy has been subpar. And he's got to do a lot to correct that, and tomorrow night is a very important event.
You know, on the flip side of that, there's been a lot of rhetoric about ISIS, which is frankly kind of stunning. I mean, for a group which, I mean, yes, they have very publicly executed horrifically 2 Americans, but they have now, and they have taken over territory, and they do have a big bank fund that they've gotten through oil sales and antiquity trafficking and all sorts of things.
It took over major points in Syria and Iraq, and,
right,
and occupy, in essence, a lot of land, some of it very empty, but a lot of land.
Right, something which al-Qaeda really was never able to do. So they have done things which other groups have not done. But you have Chuck Hagel saying, this is, we've never faced a group like this before, that I mean, there's been a lot of rhetoric, very alarmist rhetoric on it. Do you buy that? Do you believe all that? Because you think about the run-up to the Iraq War, everybody suddenly, media suddenly just went in lockstep with this whole story that the administration was spinning about weapons of mass destruction. It now seems like suddenly there's this hysteria over ISIS, a group which has, you know, in terms of things they've actually done against the United States, and I'm not saying they don't want to, but actually been able to?
I don't know that's hysteria, but I think that everything that I've read and everything that the reporters at The New Yorker, people like Dexter Filkins, right, have come back and either published or about to publish about ISIS confirms that this is a horrendous and extremely dangerous group. However, in the wake, and we live in some ways in the post-Iraq world, although we're still in Iraq in a sense, and that in the wake of events like Colin Powell's performance on weapons of mass destruction at the United Nations, presidents of the United States owe it to the American people to make careful, deep, convincing cases before the use of force. I think that should be rule number one in my opinion, and I think until now the president himself has not, all in one place, in a coherent, convincing, deep way, made the case that one expects him to make tomorrow night.
You know, you look at the press conference he gave when he announced 500 American military personnel were going to go to Iraq, and he was asked a lot about mission creep, and, you know, said, look, there's not going to be mission creep. There is an argument to be made that there has already been mission creep. I think Glenn Greenwald wrote, like, there's mission gallop. It's not just mission creep. I mean, we've gone now from sending in advisors to, well, now we have to do airstrikes in order to protect those advisors and protect Kurdistan, and now it's, well, now we are probably going to bomb inside Syria as well.
There was truth in that terrible moment in President Obama's appearance at the end of his vacation, the tan-suited moment, when he said, we don't have a strategy yet. It was one of those kind of Freudian giveaway moments, and they then rushed out to spin this and say, well, we don't have a strategy when it comes to the Syrian part of this as opposed to the Iraqi part of this. But it gave you every indication that there was no coherent strategy yet. And look, I believe that it's far better to be extremely deliberative about these things than to rush toward war, as our experience was in 2002, 2003.
It's also interesting, though, for a president who campaigned on and, you know, getting U.S. troops out of Iraq, ending the war in Afghanistan, to now,
where he wanted to be.
To now be in this position where he is. And, you know, he's doing it in the way he likes to try to do things of forming a coalition, but basically you have the United States leading the way on what will likely be an expanded bombing campaign against these groups in the Middle East.
Quite likely, and it's certainly not what Barack Obama thought he was becoming president to be, but he is president in the real world.
David Remnick, thank you very much. Well, just ahead, young Canadians answering the call of ISIS, joining its ranks, fighting, dying in Syria. Drew Griffin digs deeper at the mosque.